Have you ever wanted to build your own estate in medieval France where you're firing off all kind of combos and scoring points left and right? Well, now's your chance. I'm Mike with Expedition Gaming, and this is Castles of Burgundy. Let's do it. Welcome to Castles of Burgundy. It's 15th century France, and we are the proud owners of our very own duchy. As the owners of this duchy, it'll be our job to make this as prosperous as possible. So what are we actually doing in this game? Well, you'll notice out on the main board here, there's all these tiles that you can see. It'll be our job to grab the right tiles to add into our duchy here. So we're going to be filling up our duchy with those various tiles. And those tiles do various things. Some of them will give us our own unique abilities. Some of them will score you points. Sometimes those points are scored during the game. Some of those points you'll get at the end of the game. But all of them will be used to fill our duchy up as best as we can, scoring us as many points as we can. Now the game will play out over 5 phases. Every phase will consist of 5 rounds. In every round, each player will spend their dice to take actions. After each player's taken their actions, the round comes to an end, and then we move into the next round. After 5 rounds, the phase comes to an end. And after 5 phases, the game comes to an end. At that point, we'll add up any points that tiles within our duchy give us for endgame scoring, and then the player with the most points is the winner. So with that said, let's jump into it, and I'll show you exactly how it plays. At the start of every round, players will gather up all their dice and roll them. Now we're the starting player, so we roll this extra white die. All this white die does, it tells us where to add the good for this round. So we have this shipping good right here, and we rolled a 1 on the white die. So the shipping good is going to go out into the depot that has the number 1 on it. And again, that's all that the white die will do. It just tells us where to place this round's shipping good. So with that out of the way, we can take our actions. Now there are 4 different actions that you can take in this game. One action is to choose a tile from the main board and add it into one of the key spaces of your duchy. A second action would be to take one of the tiles from a key space and add it into your duchy. A third action would be to sell off one of these stacks of goods. And then the fourth action is to acquire more workers. Every action that you take requires spending a die. So, for our first action, I think we're going to grab one of the tiles that's out on the board. And again, each location has a matching die value. We have a 3 and a 5. So if we want to take a tile from the board, it has to be from a location that matches one of our dice. I think we're going to spend our 5 to grab this tile right here. It comes from the 5 depot, so we're going to grab that tile. And your spent dice go down over here. And then we'll add this into one of our key spaces. For our second action, we're going to add this into our duchy. And when you place a tile into your duchy, there's just a couple of rules that you need to follow. The first is that you have to add this tile to a space that matches the value of the die that you're using. So this would have to go into a space that has 3 in it. The second rule is that it has to match the color of the tile. So obviously I can't place this in a blue. And then the third rule is that your tile must be adjacent to a previously placed tile. Now when we started, we had this castle that we began with, and the Yeti had this castle that they began with. So these are our starting placements. So this tile must go onto a yellow space adjacent to this castle, and in this case, at a 3 spot. So we're going to place it right in there. Now this tile is going to give us a unique ability. It's going to make our workers a little bit more useful. Workers are helpful because they give you control over your dice. You can always spend a worker to increase or decrease the value of your die by 1. But now that we've added this tile into our duchy, our workers will let us increase or decrease the value of a die by 2 instead of just the 1. And of course that spent that die. So that's our turn. And now it's the Yeti's turn. Now you'll notice the Yeti has rolled a 4 and a 1. However, his duchy's layout is a little bit different than ours. You can see the patterns are slightly different. His castle is surrounded by yellow spaces. Yellow spaces will take tiles that are yellow, and those are called monasteries. So in this case, the very first tile that the Yeti's going to be able to place out is going to have to be a monastery. On the board, there are only 2 monasteries currently available. This one and this one. And of course, if he wants to take this one, he'll need a die valued 2. The tiles that are in the middle here, you can get these, but they're going to cost you 2 silver. And right now, the Yeti only has 1 silver. So these are off limits for him for a moment. Right now, this might be the only one that he can get. So with his value 1 die, he's going to spend one of his workers, which by the way, he started with 2 workers because he was the second player. So he'll spend 1 worker to increase this 1 to a 2. And now he's going to spend that 2 to claim this monastery. And now with his 4, he can place it right there. Now this monastery gives him some flexibility similar to how ours did. This one says that every time he places a building site down, he can increase or decrease the value of the die he's using by 1. So it gives him some flexibility for getting out more buildings. So that's the end of the first round. We go right into the second round by rolling up our dice and doing it all over again. Now, the first player always rolls the white die, and we will remain the first player for right now. The first player is decided by who's furthest along the shipping track, and you advance on this track by taking the shipping action, which comes from these blue tiles here. And I'm sure we'll see that later. But for right now, turn order stays the same. So as the start player, we will roll our dice, including the white die. Once again, we rolled a 1, which means the shipping good is going to go to that exact same depot. This depot is loading up with some goods. Now, in order to claim one of these goods, you need to take the shipping action, or again, claim one of these blue shipping tiles and place it out onto your board. When you do that, you actually can choose any depot out on the board and take all of the goods from it and add those to your stash. But again, we'll see that in detail later. For right now, we've rolled a couple of 6s. The only 6 that we can place onto is right here. It's another monastery location, and as we saw earlier, this is now the only monastery left, and we started with 1 silver, so we don't have enough to buy one of those yet. So, with our 2 6s, we could spend both of them to grab both of those tiles and kind of have one in reserve for later. But I think what we'll do instead is we will spend one of these 6s to grab this building here. Now, this tile is a church, and when you add a church into your duchy, it lets you claim a mine, a monastery, or a castle tile from out on the main board. So you could look out to any of the 6 depots and grab one of those tiles. You can't choose from the middle here. So I think I'd like to place it right here. And in order to do that, we will spend our soul worker, and because of our new ability here, we can adjust this die by 2. So we can change a 6 to a 1 and then a 2. You can adjust 6s to 1s, and you can adjust 1s to 6s. So with that, we can place this right here, and then that tile will let us go out to the main board and claim either a mine, a castle, or a monastery. But again, the only monastery is in the this area here, so that's off limits. So between the mine and the castle, I think we're going to go with the castle. We add that into one of our key spaces here, and that's our turn. Hey, Yeti's in a little bit of a pickle. He's rolled a 1 and a 2, and there are no more 2s left out here. So he's going to spend this 1 to claim this shipping tile. And then he's going to spend his last worker to convert this 2 to a 3. And he's going to take this church. And that's round 2. So now we move right into round 3. And with the 3, this round's good. We'll go into the number 3 depot right there. We've rolled 2 5s here. So we're going to spend our first 5 to buy this mine. Then we will spend our second 5 to place this castle out into that location right there. I think we'll choose this one here. This is just a little deluxe upgrade from this version. When you're placing your castles out, you can choose from the little minis. It's just a nice little table presence. So this tile just goes off to the side, and that goes in there. Now, a couple things happen here. First, you'll notice that we have filled in this section here, and one of the ways to score points in the middle of the game is by completing various sections of the same color. So if we were to fill in all 3 of these green tiles, or all 3 of these brown ones, or both of those gray ones. In this case, it's just a single space, but it is a section all of itself. So with that castle in there, that area is complete, and we will score it. And the number of points you score is dependent on the phase that you're in, as well as the size of the area you completed. So in this case, it was an area of 1, and so here's the chart for how many points that will score. An area of 1 will get you 1 point. An area of 2 hexes will get you 3. 3 hexes will get you 6 points, and so on. So in this case, we'll score 1 point for completing that, but then you also score points depending on what phase we're in. And since we're in the very first phase of the game, we'll get 10 additional points. So by completing this 1 area hex, we will get a total of 11 points for that. And we'll keep track of that right there. Now the next thing that happens, the benefit for putting a castle out into your duchy is that you get to take a whole other bonus action as if you had a die of any value. It's a very powerful action, and it's basically a wild. So in this case, we're going to take an action as if we had another 3 valued die so that we can place this mine out into our duchy. And once again, by completing this single hex area, we get to score it just like we did the castle. So that's going to give us 11 more points. Now there's no direct benefit to placing the mine out, but the mines will earn us coins at the end of every phase. So right now we have 1 coin. This mine will crank us out another coin phase after phase after phase. The Yeti, he finds himself right back in that same pickle. He has rolled a 1 and a 2 again, and so he's left with very similar options out on the board. There's nothing in the 2 depot. The 1, he took half of it. So he's going to do something a little different on his turn. First thing he's going to do is one of the actions you can take is to cash a die in for workers. So cashing a die will get him 2 workers. Now he's going to spend one of these workers to convert his 1 into a 6. And he's going to use the 6 to take the first sell action of the game. Now when you sell, you choose a stack here that matches the value of your die. In this case, he will sell this stack here. Now, his stack only has 1 good in it. Regardless of the number of goods, when you take the sell action, you'll gain 1 coin for the sell, and then you'll gain 2 points for every good that was in that stack. So he'll flip this over, add it there, and then he'll gain 2 points for his single good that he sold. Now, if he had several goods in there, then he would get 2 points for each of them. And in a 3-player game, you would get 3 points for each good. A 4-player game would give you 4 points for each good. So that'll get him a coin and 2 points. And now that he has 2 coins, he's going to spend both of those to claim this monastery from the market out here. So he spends his 2 coins and claims that tile. Now again, that is the only way to claim these, to spend 2 coins, and that is a free action. You can do that anytime on your turn, before, after, or even during your other actions. So he spends his 2 coins, and then he adds that to the key space here. Also, you can only ever hold 3 tiles in your key spaces. If you ever want to bring in more tiles and you're out of space, you can discard one of these out of the game in order to make room for the new one that's coming in. That's the end of round 3, and we will roll our way into round 4. We rolled a 4 on the white die, which will put this good into the 4 depot. We have rolled 2 6s, and I think we're going to do the sell action as well. So we're also going to sell our 6 stack, which will give us a silver for the transaction and 2 points for our single good sold. And then with our 2 silver, I think we're going to purchase this tile right here. This is a town hall, and when we place this out into our board, it actually lets us place a second tile for free. So that could be pretty helpful. And then I think we'll take our second 6 and use it to get some pigs. Any animal tiles are really good for scoring points. And when you add them into your duchy, you'll score points equal to the number of animals showing on that tile plus some more. And we'll see the details of that once we start placing animals out into our duchy. Well, it looks like Yeti finally has some choices. With his 1 and 5, with the 5, he could actually place out his church and it would let him claim a tile, but none of those tiles are out here anymore. There's no more monasteries, mines, or castles, so that's a bad option. So instead, he's going to spend this 5 to place that out right there. And this monastery says that whenever you spend a die to get 2 workers, he'll get 2 additional workers. So now, every die he spends for workers, he'll get a total of 4 workers, which is pretty good. Speaking of workers, he's going to spend his last worker to convert this 1 to a 2. And he's going to place his shipping tile right there. Now, as soon as you place a ship into your duchy, 2 things happen. The first is that you can claim goods from any single depot out on the board. And you get to claim all of the goods that are there. So he's going to choose all the goods from depot number 1. And they match the ones that he has, which is perfect. You just stack them up on top. And as we saw in the other sell actions, you'll sell an entire stack. So now he'll get more points for selling that stack off. If he were to claim goods and his area here was full, unlike when your key areas are full, you can't discard these goods. If he didn't have room for it in his inventory here, he would just simply leave that good back in the depot on the main board. You can only store up to 3 different types of goods, and you can only store the kind that you are currently carrying. So the second thing that happens when you place a ship into your duchy is you advance on the shipping track here. So now he will go up by 1 space, which is going to make him the start player for each round. And speaking of, we now head into the next round, and he becomes the start player, so he will roll the white die. There's a 4 on the white die, so this phase's last good will go into the 4 depot. With the 1 and the 3 rolled, Yeti will use his 1 to claim the carpenter's workshop, and then he'll use his 3 to place it out. The benefit of the carpenter's workshop is that it lets you take any building tile that's out on the main board in one of the 6 depots. Building tiles are any of the beige tiles. This is the only one left, so that's the one that he'll grab. We've rolled a 1 and a 5. And let's spend this 1 to place this town hall right here. That's going to do 2 things. As you can see, we've completed another section, and it is a size of 2, so we'll get 3 points plus the 10, so that'll be 13 more points for us. And then the special ability of the town hall says again that we can place out another tile as a free action. So we're going to place out our pigs, and we'll stick them right there. Now, whenever you place a livestock tile into your duchy, you'll score victory points equal to the number of animals that are on that tile. In this case, we'll get 3 points. Now, in the future, if I add more pigs into this same pasture here, then I will score all of the pigs, including previously placed tiles. So you can score the same livestock tile several times if you keep adding the same type of animal. Now, if I add in pigs over to this pasture, these won't affect that score at all. It's got to be within the same contiguous pasture. But in this case, we've got 3 animals, so we'll score 3 more points. And then for our last die, we have a 5, but there's nothing left in the 5 depot there. We don't have any more tiles to place out, so I think we're just going to take this. We can't sell anything with it. Let's just trade it in, and we'll get ourselves 2 workers for some future flexibility. And that brings us to the end of phase 1. At this point, anybody who has mines in their duchy will gain 1 silver for each mine. In this case, we have 1 mine here, so we'll gain 1 silver. There are some monasteries that would activate at this point, but we don't have any of those on the board. So we move into phase 2, and to start that out, we'll reset this board out here. Any tiles that are left in any of the depots will go away, and that includes inside the market here. And then we will refill all of those. Then we take the stack of goods for phase 2 and we refill those spaces. And now we're ready for phase 2. Another 4 is rolled on the white die. Well, that depot's starting to fill up. The Yeti is going to use his 4 to claim this bank. And then he's going to spend his 5 to place the bank out, and he's going to lean into the special ability of that monastery that says whenever he's placing a building tile out, he can increase or decrease the value of that die by 1. So this 5 will allow him to place into this 4 spot here. So he'll put the bank in there, and the special ability of the bank says that whenever you place one into your duchy, it will give you 2 silver. He's actually going to spend that silver right away to claim this tile here. which is a carpenter's workshop. We have a bit of a tough choice. We've rolled a 2 and a 3, and out on the board, I'm really interested in these cows. That could be a lot of points, but we currently only have 1 silver, so we wouldn't have access to that one just yet. I suppose we could do a sell action and gain the extra silver. But the other thing I'm looking at too is there's only 1 castle that's out on the board here. And those are so juicy. I hate to... It's always a risk to leave it out there. So I think what we'll do is we'll spend our 2 to go ahead and claim that castle. And then we could use a worker to convert that to a 5 and place the castle out now. But I think we'll go ahead and save our workers, and instead we'll spend this 3 to grab this church. All right, into round 2. And the good will go out to the 1 depot. It looks like Yeti has some difficult dice to deal with. He's filled up here, so he can't take any more tiles. So he's going to need to place these out. They're all buildings, and these are the only building sites that he has access to. And even with his special ability that lets him adjust the value of the die he's using by 1, his 5s don't quite let him access the 1 spots. So he's going to tap into his other monastery's ability. He's going to cash in 1 of his dice, and that's going to get him 4 workers. And then he's going to spend 1 of those workers to convert this die into a 6. And then his special ability is going to let him adjust that even further to a 1. And he will use that to put out his warehouse. Now the warehouse allows you to sell 1 type of good. So he's going to go with this top stack here. He'll get 1 silver for the sale, and he's selling 2 goods, so that's 2 points each for a total of 4 more points. Now, I'm still eyeing up these livestock tiles, but I see an opportunity for us to go ahead and take back first player. So I think what we'll do is spend this 1 to grab this ship. And then we'll spend our 6 to place the ship right there. That lets us, first and foremost, move up on the turn order track. And when there's a tie, the tied player on the top of the stack takes first player position. So this will come back over to us. And then, of course, by putting the ship out, we can claim the goods from any single depot. I think we'll go with this one here. Now, we have a 1, a 3, and an open space. So we can take the 1, and then we only have room for 1 other type of goods. So we'll take the 2. The 2 will go there. The 1 will stack up. And that's our turn. This round's good. We'll go out into depot number 2. And now we're up. I'm still really eyeing up the livestock here, but I think I see a combo that feels a little too good to pass up. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to spend a worker to turn this 4 into a 5. And then we'll spend the 5 to place this castle right here. Now, of course, that completes area of 1, so we'll score some points for that. And again, an area of 1 will get us 1 point. And now that we're in phase B, completing areas will score us 8 points. So we'll get a total of 9 points for this one. And again, the benefit of putting a castle out is that you get to take another action immediately as if you had a die of any value. So in this case, we're going to act like we have a die value of 6, and we're going to place our church out right here. And of course, that's going to complete another area of 1, scoring us 9 more points. And now that the church is out, its benefit, once again, is going to let us collect either a mine, a monastery, or a castle from the board. Now, there's no castles. We got the only one out. There's a mine and 2 monasteries. I'm thinking about the mine because silver is always good. But if we go with this monastery, it's going to help make it easier to put out both ships as well as pastures. And since we're eyeing up these moo cows here, I'm thinking this might come in handy for us. So we'll tuck that in there. And then we'll use our 2 to place that monastery right here. And look at that, we have completed yet another area of 1 hex. So that will be 9 more points. So we're leaving these cows alone one more time, but I felt like that was too good to pass up for the moment. On to the Yeti's turn. His first action will be to place out his own church. He's going to use his 6, and of course his special ability lets him treat this 6 as if it is a 1. So he's going to place his church right in this spot here. And just like us, that will let him grab either a mine, a monastery, or a castle from the board. And at this point, these are his 2 options. And he's going to go with the mine. And he's going to use his 2 to place the mine right there. Now, he could have actually used the 2 to place right here and complete this region, but getting the mine out looks like the way he's going to go, but it would not be surprising to see him try to complete out this region before the phase is over. And let's roll up for round 4. This will go into depot 6. We're starting to get a little uncomfortable with how much time I have left to get the cows here, so I think it's time to make a plan to get those. I think what we'll do is we're going to use this 2. We'll spend our last worker to roll this down by 2. So there's 1 and then 2. So we'll turn that into a 6. And then we will spend that to get our first livestock. And then we'll take this 3 and we'll sell off this stack of goods here, which will get us 1 silver. And there's a single good there, which will get us 2 more points. Then we will spend that silver to purchase that second livestock. All right, now that we've got them secured, we just need to hopefully find a way to get those out next turn, preferably before the phase ends. And it looks like Yeti got exactly what he needed to complete this section out. First, he's going to spend his 3 to grab this livestock tile. And then, of course, this will allow him to treat this 1 as if it were a 2. And he'll put his carpenter's workshop out. That's going to complete a section of 5. And an area of 5 is going to score him 15 points. And with the phase bonus of 8, it's going to give him 23 points, which will take him up to 29. And then the carpenter's workshop bonus says that he can take any building from any of the depots on the main board. There are 2 buildings currently out. They're both churches, so he'll grab this one. And now we head into the final round of Phase B. We were really close to being able to complete this pasture, this phase, but I think we're going to just slightly miss it. We'll use this 2 to place that there, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4 cows on that tile, so we're going to score 4 points. And even with this tile's ability to treat that like a 6, we just miss being able to put this one in there. So I think like we did last time, we'll just cash this in for 4 more workers to give us a little flexibility heading into the 3rd phase. Yeti will use this 4 to take this ship, add that here, and then he's going to spend a worker to change this 6 into a 5, and then he'll use his 5 to place this ship right there. And he will grab both of these goods off of the board. And of course, that will move him up in the turn order track, making him the new start player. That's the end of Phase B. We'll reset and we'll get into Phase C. But before I forget, our mines will activate now. So we will each gain 1 silver, and now we'll reset for Phase C. There's a 3 on the white die, so this good will go right there. And Yeti will start out by spending his 2 silver to purchase this bank. And then he'll use this 6, treat it as a 5, to place this bank out and get that 2 silver right back. This is the first time we've seen this be a potential, so just know that you can only ever buy 1 of these tiles during your turn. So even though he has 2 silver, he's already made his purchase for this turn. And now he'll treat this 6 as if it were a 1 to place out this church right there. And I think he's tired of me snagging up all the castles. So that church will let him grab a monastery, a mine, or a castle. And he's secured his very own. And let's see what we can do about getting first player back for us. I think I'm going to spend a worker to turn this 5 into a 4. And then we'll use that to grab this ship. And then this tile will let us treat this 2 as if it were a 1 to be able to place this ship out right there. And that is going to complete an area of 2, which will get us 3 points plus 6 more, so we'll get 9 points for that. And then, of course, placing the ship out lets us choose cargo. We'll go with this one here. Add that in, and most importantly, we will jump up and reclaim first player. I'm tempted to grab this other ship. Between our workers letting us change that to a 1 and that giving us flexibility, we could put it out. But I also really like the look of this monastery. This says that whenever you take the sell action, you get an additional silver. So every time you sell, you get 2 silver, which would be nice because then you can always grab one of those. So I think I kind of like that. We'll go ahead and spend one of our workers to turn that to a 5, and we'll grab that. And then we can spend this 3 to place it out. And the Yeti is going to spend his 3 to grab this carpenter's workshop. And then he'll spend this 4 to place it down right there. And the carpenter's workshop allows you to grab another building tile off the main board. So he's going to go with this watchtower. What are the odds that we rolled all 2s? And I think with our first 2, we will spend a worker to convert this to a 1. And then we'll snag this ship. And then we'll spend our second 2 to place some cows into this pasture. And again, this monastery lets us treat this 2 as if it were a 1. So now we're going to get a bunch of points. we're going to score 1, 2, 3, 4 for this tile. And then, as we said before, you get to rescore any other animals in the same pasture of the same animal type. So we'll score this one more time. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 on there, 4 on there. So just placing that down will give us 8 more points. And then, of course, we completed an area of 3. Areas of 3 score 6. This phase will get 6 points for completing areas, so 12 more points. Will take us to 102. And then we'll get this little 100-point token there as a reminder that we have passed the 100-point. And Yeti's first priority is to play out a tile since he's filled up right here. So he's going to spend his first 2 to place out the watchtower. And the watchtower simply gives 4 points when you play it out. Then he's going to spend a worker to convert this 2 into a 1. And he will claim this tile here. Let's head into round 4. Well, let's get this ship out and really cement our lead. We will spend this 3 to be able to place the ship out into this 2 spot using that monastery's ability. We'll grab the goods from this depot here, and we can store both of them. And then we'll spend a worker to convert this 4 into a 5 so that we can take this mine. Right there. And Yeti is set up for a nice turn here. He's going to spend this 1 to place out this town hall. And we'll put it in right there, which is going to complete an area of 5. An area of 5 is worth 15, 6 for the phase bonus, so he'll get 21 points. And the town hall's placement bonus says that you can place out another hex tile. So he's going to place out his castle right there, and that completes an area of 1. So he will get 1 plus 6, he'll get 7 points. And using the castle's wild bonus, he's going to go ahead and act like he's got a die value 6 to grab this boarding house. I'll place that down there. Then he's going to spend his last worker to convert this 1 into a 2 and use that 2 to place the boarding house in this 3 spot. And that's going to complete another single hex area, which is going to get him another 7 points. And then the special ability of the boarding house says that when you place it down, you instantly get 4 workers. So that was a pretty good turn for Yeti. We rolled a 3 and a 6, and looking out at the board, it's kind of a straightforward, boring turn, but I think it makes sense. We can grab both of these pasture tiles, which they both have goats on it, so they would work well together. I think we'll do that. We'll spend both of our dice, the 3 and the 6, to grab both of those, and heading into phase D, we'll be filled up, but hopefully we can get these out and maybe fill that up early on. And the Yeti is going to spend his 4 to place these sheep out here. That will score him 3 points. And then he'll spend a worker to convert this 3 into a 2 so that he can claim this monastery here. This monastery says that at the end of the game, every bank that he has will be worth 4 points, and he's currently sitting on 2 banks, so seems like a pretty good tile for him. And that is the end of phase C. So now we'll clear the board and get set up for phase D. Well, we've rolled a 1 and a 2, and that's a perfect fit. We might as well place both of these out in the pastures there. So the 1 and the 2, well, we'll do this one at a time. We'll place this one out, which will score us 2 points, and then we will place this one out, which will score us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll get a total of 7 points for that. Now, we are sitting on 2 silver, and I'm eyeing up what's out here and tempted to grab this because that's a perfect fit for the goat pasture we have going on. But there's also this one out here, and that's for free. I'm very tempted to grab this castle, but there's also that one out there. So I don't think we're in danger of losing either of those valuable tiles. There are some options in case the Yeti takes one of them. So I think for right now, we'll hang on to our silver and just see how it plays out for a round or so before we make a move. And speaking of moves, it's the Yeti's move. He is going to spend that 3 to place this monastery out. And then he will spend this 2 to claim this castle tile. So now we might be a little more incentivized to grab that one there. I just realized I forgot to put out the good from last round. Last round we had rolled a white 4, so that one will go there. And this one will go right there. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to spend our 2 silver to purchase this castle. Then we'll use that 4 to place out that mine. And then we'll use that 4 to place out this castle. And of course, that's going to complete a section of 1. So we will get 4 extra points this time around for a total of 5. And then for our bonus wild action, I think we're going to go ahead and snag this pasture here. It's perfectly suited for that. Now another thing has just happened. You'll notice in my player board, we've completed all of the castle sections. Anytime you have filled in all of the hexes of a particular type, that's what these bonus tiles up here are for. So since we filled in all of our castles, we'll get to claim this top bonus tile right here. And that will score us 5 points immediately. You'll score 5 in a 2-player game, 6 in a 3-player, and 7 in a 4-player game. So we'll place that there, and actually, I think we're supposed to put this token right there. So our extra 5 points will take us up to 119. Yeti's going to do something similar. He's going to spend his 2 silver right up front to grab this sheep livestock tile. And then he'll spend his 1 to place it out. That's going to give him 4 plus 3, 7 points for that. And that completed a section of 2. So he'll get 3 plus 4, 7 more points. Then he'll spend this 6 to put out his castle. That completes a single area, which will get him 5 more points. And for the wild action the castle gives, he's going to snag this boarding house. Ooh, we rolled a 6, so we're going to spend that to put down these goats, and that's going to give us 3, 6, 8 points for the livestock, which will take us up to 27. And then, of course, that does complete an area of 3, which will get us 6 plus 4, so another 10 points. And that is the last green hex that we had to fill in. So we've completed all of our greens, which will let us take this tile right here, scoring us 5 more points. And then for our 4, let's just spend that to grab this ship right here. Hopefully keep our lead going on the turn order track. And Yeti is going to spend his 3 to place out the boarding house into that section there, which will give him 4 more workers. He has quite the workforce built up here. Lots of flexibility. And that completes an area of 1. So that will give him 5 points. In addition, that was the last beige area that he has in his duchy. So he also will get to claim a bonus tile, which will get him 5 more points. And then for his 1, he will grab, he doesn't actually have room for another beige tile, so he's going to take the ship. We have a 3 and a 4, and we could use either of those to place the ship into that hex there. But since the 4 depot is empty, we might as well use the 4 to place the ship, which will let us grab goods from any depot. We could grab this 1, which we've got a pretty big stack of 1s built up. But let's grab these from here. We don't have room for the 5 goods. But, oh, wait a minute. No, we don't have a 6. What am I doing? Let's stick with the 1. So hopefully we can sell off this stack for a fair number of points. And then we will move up on the turn order track. And we will use this 3 to grab this carpenter's workshop. And Yeti is going to put his own ship out. He's going to spend a worker to convert this 3 into a 4 and place that there. And that, of course, is going to complete a section of 3, which will get him 10 points. And then he is going to choose the goods from this depot here. He doesn't have room for the 2, but he's got plenty of room for the 6, and now he's got a fairly good stack of 5s there. And then, of course, he will move up on the turn order track. And then he is going to spend another worker to convert the 6 into a 5 so that he can take this mine tile. All right. Last round of phase 4. All right, the carpenter's workshop, if we put that out, it's going to let us take another building tile, which could get us close to completing one of these 3 clusters. There's 2 building tiles out. We've got that which is worth 4 points, and that market which would let us get either a livestock or a ship. We don't need the livestock, and there's no more ships. So not the most helpful tile for us at the moment. I'm also looking at this nice big stack of number 1 goods. We could sell that off. But I'm thinking, hopefully we'll have a chance to sell this off in the last phase. I'm kind of thinking maybe we set ourselves up for completing a couple of these areas, not in this phase, but in the final phase. So why don't we use our 6 to put this one right there. That will let us take another building, and we'll grab the market. And then we'll spend this 1 to snag this other building. Hopefully between the ship this gives us and these 2 things, we can complete a couple of sections there in the final phase. And Yeti is going to tap into his recently acquired workforce. He's going to spend these 2 workers to convert this 3 into a 5 so that he can grab this monastery here. This one will let him score 4 points for every boarding house, and he's got 2 of those. Then he's going to spend 2 more workers to convert this 3 into a 5 so that he can place this mine out. That will complete a section of 2, which will score him 7 points. And that will close out phase D. So now our mines will produce. We each have 2 mines, so we'll both get 2 silver. And then we'll clear out and get set up for the final phase. We rolled a 4 and a 1. And I want to get these out, but I'm looking at the fact that there are 2 ships left in the entire game. And we've got 2 spots left. So this might be a little risky, but I think what we'll do is we'll spend both of our silver to purchase this market. And then we will place, with this 4, we'll place this market out. And with this 1, we'll place this one out. And again, the market lets you take either a livestock tile or a ship tile. So for both of these, we'll just grab the last 2 ships. I say it's risky because now we're completely full. We have no workers. So hopefully we won't have a problem getting these out. If we do, then we'll be looking at cashing in some dice for workers. But we'll see what it looks like when we roll up next time. Over to Yeti. He's going to spend his 2 to place the monastery out. And then he's going to spend his last worker to convert this 6 into a 5. Because he's also nervous about the last mine getting snagged out from under him. So he's going to grab that for himself. Well, we got lucky. We rolled 2 2s. And with that monastery, that's exactly what we could use to place these out. So we'll spend 1 2 as if it were a 1 wherever you are. We'll place that out there. So that's going to complete a section of 3, which will give us 6 plus 2. So we'll get 8 points. And then placing that ship's going to let us grab goods. So let's take the 3 and the 2 here. And then, of course, another bump on the turn order track. And then we'll treat this as if it were a 3 to place out our other ship, which is going to complete a section of 1. Which will get us 3 more points. Goods from another depot. We'll grab 1 more too. Got a couple of good stacks here that hopefully we can sell off for a bit of points. And then 1 more bump. And then finally, that is our last blue hex in our duchy. So we will get to claim this 5-point bonus tile. Yeti has rolled a 4 and a 6. He will spend his 4 to place out his mine, which will complete a section of 1, giving him 3 points. And that does complete all of his mines. So he'll get to claim this bonus tile, which will get him 5 more points. And he'll use his 6 to grab this livestock right here. With our first 2, we will put out this watchtower, which will score us 4 points just for the tower. But then we've completed a section of 3. And again, that'll get us 8 points for the section with the 4 from the watchtower, so we'll get 12 points. And part of me's tempted to cash that 2 in for more workers, just so our last 2 rounds we know we have flexibility, but it's also a great time to sell off this stack here. So I think that's what we'll do. So we will get 2 silver for the sale because of that monastery. And then 2 points per good, and we have a total of 4 goods. So that'll get us 8 more points. And then Yeti is going to spend 2 of his silver to grab this monastery. And then he's going to do something similar. He's going to use his 6 to sell off this stack here, which will get him 1 silver and 4 victory points. Then he'll use his 3 to place that monastery right there. All right, second to last round. Well, we did roll a 1. I think it's a great time to make another sale. So we'll use that to gain 2 silver. And that is another 4 goods. So 8 more points for us. And then I think we'll spend 2 of those silver to buy this warehouse. And then we'll use our 1 to place the warehouse right there. And again, the special ability of a warehouse lets you sell 1 type of good. So that'll give us a chance to sell off our last stack here, which will get us those 2 silver right back and 4 points for both of the goods. Silver at the end of the game is worth 1 point, and actually every unsold good that you have is also worth 1 point. But if you can sell it during the game, you've effectively doubled the amount of points you'll get for your goods. So it's worth it to do it right now. So that'll be 4 more points for us. And Yeti is going to cash in his 6 for 4 workers. And then he's going to spend 1 of those workers to convert this 3 into a 2 so that he can take the last castle. Okay, heading into the final round of the game. Let's see, we have rolled a 1 and a 6. Oh, well, very last turn of the game is a little anticlimactic because we have a 1 and a 6. We really can't do anything with it. We could grab the market or the warehouse there, but so if we grab the warehouse, we can't place it out with a 1, so that doesn't do us any good. If we grab the market, we could place it out with our 6, but it doesn't do us any good because there are no ships and we don't need the pastures, and just placing a single hex out there doesn't help us at all. It won't score us any more points, so there's really no point in doing those actions. We have no goods to sell and nothing to place out. So all that to say, I think what we'll do is we'll cash in both of these dice for 2 workers apiece. Because it's not much, but at the end of the game, every 2 workers is worth 1 point. So at least we can get ourselves 2 points for our final turn there. So on to the Yeti. He is going to spend 2 of his workers to convert this 3 into a 5 so that he can grab this monastery. And then he'll spend his last worker to convert this 5 into a 6. And of course he could have spent those workers to take his 3 up to a 6, but hey, this is more fun. So that 6 he'll use to place his castle out, his final one. That will complete an area of 1 for 3 more points. And that was his last red space. So he'll get to claim 2 more points. And then for his wild action with the castle, he's going to place out this monastery, which is going to complete a section of 6, which is 21 plus 2, 23 points. And then that is also his last yellow space on his board, so he'll get to claim 1 more of those bonus tiles for 5 more points. All right, that's it. It's the end of the game. Final phase is done, and so now we will move into final scoring. And final scoring has 4 categories you can score from. You can score for your unused goods tiles, your silver, your workers, and then monasteries that score points at the end of the game. So, the Yeti is the only one with unsold goods, and he has 3, 4, 5 unsold goods, so that'll get him 5 points. And then we'll score silver. We have 4 silver. The Yeti has 2. Next we'll score unused workers, and we'll get 2 points. 1 point for every 2. The Yeti has none, so he will not score those. And then finally, we would score monasteries that give us in-game points. We do not have any of those. We only have a couple of in-game powers, but the Yeti does have a couple of them. First up is this one. He'll get 4 points for every boarding house. He has 2 of those, so he will get 8 points for that one. Next, this will score him 4 points for every warehouse, and he has 1 warehouse for 4 more points. And finally, this will score 4 points for every bank that he has, and he currently has 2 banks for 8 more points. And there it is. We have bested the Yeti, our 196 to his 189. That was actually a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. We had a pretty sizable lead for a while, and he was able to close that gap there toward the end, so it's a little closer than I thought, but we came out with the victory. We got that early lead by closing out some of our smaller areas early in the game and got some of those big phase bonuses, but he definitely closed that gap by finishing out some larger areas later on, which definitely score a lot of points. But ultimately, we came out as the winner. But that's it. that's a full 2-player game of Castles of Burgundy. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you on our next expedition.